G'day fellas and welcome to a casted game of Age of Empires 4. Today we are on Relic River to watch two of the world's best players face off in a ranked battle. Today we got the House of Lancaster, one of the new civilizations, up against one of the OG, well not really one of the OG, but one of the original civilizations, I guess, as close as you can get to not being one. Anyway, let's get into it and introduce our players. Sporting on the east side of the map in the colour purple, playing as the House of Lancaster, the English variant representing Team Liquid, it's Demu. And on the west side of the map, in the colour pink, playing as the Ottomans, it's Corvinus 1. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Relic River. A pleasure to have your company here today on this ranked map, and we're seeing ourselves something a little bit different, something I didn't actually expect to see on this map, and the reason why is because it doesn't look like fish spawn throughout this map, with the exception of down the south side, and it looks like Corvinus 1 has picked this up, so very well, hats off to him, well played, Corvinus 1. I'm enjoying this so far, and if you're enjoying this game, or at least you suspect you will enjoy this game, please go ahead and leave a like down on the video below. It definitely helps out a huge amount. And let's talk a little bit about what we can expect to see. So, automatically, when you think of the Ottomans, they're a flexible civilization. They're not really forced to do anything. They're good at everything, whether they want to play Feudal, whether they want to play 2TC, Castle Age, Imperial Age even. You've got a lot of options available to you. And the fact that he's gone into the one dock opening, to me, would indicate that he's going to have more food than what you normally would. And normally, if you're going to use that food, you can use it to go castle at a pretty decent time. So that would be the first thing I would be flagging. The second thing would be a bit more feudal pressure. You could look to try and force the House of Lancaster off their early resources. Obviously, we will expect to see the Lancaster Castle coming out in a beautiful spot right here. This is absolutely going to be the number one spot to ever be putting this down. It protects not only your gold, but also your stone, so expect to see that out the front. But I wouldn't be surprised if Corvinus 1 does go for some early aggression, maybe a little bit of a ram push as well, as a potential option. And we can see the UI has been updated, so shout out to the developers for this one. Lovely to see this, even though, is that the correct order? Yeah, that's the correct order. So great that we get to see that. Age up comes through. It's no surprise. Lancaster Castle coming through for Demu. One of the best placed Lancaster castles I've ever seen, by the way. This is incredible. The fact that it covers both of the key resources that you're typically going to be losing to enemy raiders, it's incredible. But one thing to note is that Demu doesn't know about this south little base, and I'll be honest with you, I didn't know about it either. This is the first time I'm ever seeing it, the first time I'm hearing of it. So definitely something to take away from this game and sort of utilize in your own games if you haven't been already. Just keep this in mind that there's quite a few resources down here, and you can see he's already got the 3 fishing boats down here. We've got 1, 2, that's the third one, 4th, 5th, 6th. That's a lot of food. That's a lot of food. You could easily justify going into a second dock for that. And we do see him down here on the south side as well. He's also got some sheep behind his scout. Age up going to be delayed a little bit here. Obviously, that is the case whenever you've got the dock opening. Typically delays your age up, but you can see it's still going to be relatively competitive here with a 3-minute 15 drop. He's got a few more villages on the Twin Minaret Madrasa than what you normally would, but still going to be going into that food landmark despite his opponent having, or rather despite having this over his opponent, the fact that he's got all of this food on the south side. But let's check in with Demu, though, because he's got a number of options as to how we can play it. But I think the biggest thing for Demu here is just going to be playing it by ear. Essentially just watching Corvinus 1 and looking to react wherever possible to what he's doing. So if we take a look, you can see that he has definitely scouted out this area. He knows about this dock. So I think the most important thing Demu can do right now is scout the gold. You need to know gold. You need to know, okay, what's my time frame here? Have I got, is it going to be units at 5 minutes? Is it going to be units at 7 minutes? Is it going to be units at 9 minutes? He spots the gold. That's obviously not going to be the key gold that he's looking for here. He's moving up towards the north side. Age up about to come through for him as well. So a little bit after the 4-minute mark, 4 minute and 10 roughly. And immediately we'll be dropping down that first mana. That's going to be giving him that extra population space as well. So that's the first one all sorted out. And we see him now towards the north of the base. We'll keep an eye on him as he begins to round the corner here. He's going to be paying attention to those villages. That's where the key factor is going to be here. He really wants to make sure that there's not a lot of villages over on gold. It could be a bit of an awkward spot for him here. You can see the town center does technically cover him right here. He's going to try and get through. Is he going to be able to commit? Yeah, he's going to lose these sheep at the very least, and most likely the scout, so he doesn't really have a whole lot of time right now. Now, the age up for Corvinus 1 has just come through, so with that, you can expect to see the first of the imams, or the first of the Imperial Council points put through. Which way does he go? So first option's obviously imams, if you want to play into Castle Age a bit more. You could play meta if you wanted to play Feudal Age a bit more, or I wouldn't go Anatolian Hills in this situation, just simply because you've already got quite a bit of food on the map, though you do get that nice little mining boost, so it's definitely something to be said about that. But in the end, Demu's not even going to need to check the gold. He did spot out a military school that was being constructed, and normally you wouldn't build that in the Feudal Age. You'd be building that in the Dark Age, and it's only because his opponent has gone into this early dock that he's actually been able to spot that one out now. But I'm curious whether or not he decides to take the foot off the pedal right here. Look to pump the gas a little bit, excuse my fog of war just there. Whether or not he looks to pump the gas, or what the play is. You can see he's got a lot of villagers here on gold still. He will just about have enough now to drop that third mana. But there's the condensed land practices coming through. So an expensive upgrade right there, but you can see he's still kind of trickling in those resources. So only got the 2 for the moment. I'm kind of surprised he's not dropping down that third mana immediately. And where does he go from here? Does he look to just play it standard? I suspect he probably is, because at the end of the day, right, let's say, hypothetically, that Corvinus 1 just starts spamming out a huge amount of units. Like, what are you going to do? Realistically, what are you going to do against this? The only real threat here are battering rams. Mana is going to come down, but it's going to be in the back of the base. Curious decision-making here. I really like the idea of building the Lancaster Castle and building the manas around your resources so that in the event the enemy does attack you, it's going to be defending you. But at the same time, if you do that, obviously it's going to be potentially a little bit, how do we say, a little bit vulnerable. But now that scout's going to be coming down on that bottom side. At the same time, we've got for Corvinus 1 wheelbarrow coming through, so a little bit of a boost to the economy. Still working through the resources on the other side, and you can see now he does spot 4 vills on the gold. So 4 vills on the gold, it's one of those weird amounts, which typically mean there's at the very least there's going to be some units. We know that, and it is imams that we spot. So if anything, the imams say, hey, I'm playing Castle Age. So this is very confusing, because now we see a whole bunch of production that's down here. It's like, well, hold on, why have you got imams, but you've got all of these production buildings that are up right now? We got to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. Meanwhile, on the other side, interesting timing here. We've got the Muster the Nobles coming through. This is going to be 2 Demi-Lancers plus 4, so really not looking to try and maximize the peak over here. You can see he's got a total of 6 that are out now, so he'll be looking to put on the pressure here, but it's to me, it feels like one of those things that you should just kind of wait for, right? Like, I mean, you're obviously putting on pressure. This is quite early. We're 7 minutes into the game, so this is still quite early, and he can really look to hurt his opponent here. I guess that's the kind of mindset that he's going into, but keep in mind, there's no spears up yet for Corvinus 1. So it's not so much about how much he can gain for himself, but rather how much damage he can do to the enemy. And we now see him moving down towards the south. So is he maybe thinking that this is forced a response from Corvinus 1? If we check in with Corvinus 1, has he dropped a Rax because of this? He hasn't dropped a barracks yet. So there's no real change in the plan from Corvinus 1. Meanwhile, towards the south, he should at the very least pick up the villager. That is without saying here. This poor villager doesn't have much of a chance left. Charge finally does hit, and indeed the first vill will go down. He's going to look to try and deal with these fishing boats, but all of them jump inside. You can see he's only gone up to 3 fishing boats in this game, so not looking to play more than 3 fishing boats. Obviously, you can only keep 3 in there. Also have the archery range behind it, and now moving into the mana. So he's 100% respected this infrastructure from Corvinus 1 here, and just look to get out onto the map, look to try and get a little bit of early control, force his opponent onto the defense early rather than him being forced onto the defense, which I definitely do like here. And now once again moving forward, he wants to try and find those imams, and you can see there's a real lack of anti-cavalry here, so he should be fine for the if he wants to go in for those dives. He's just going to take quite a bit of heat though. That's the only problem with the Sipahis here. And now working his way back away from it. You can see the numbers continuing to look good. I'm thinking right now, I think my in-game sound might be a little bit loud. Give me a second here. I'm just going to turn this bad boy down. Yeah, I think I'm just a slight bit too loud on the in-game sound. Okay, it should hopefully be a bit better now for you guys. Or at least a little bit better for me as well, because, well, let's just put it this way. It was pretty loud in my headset, but Archer's moving forward. He's also got the Yeoman on the defense. Demo now. Looking to tee off. Keep in mind he's got that little bit of a range advantage, but we do see the imams through the fog of war healing up the enemy units. Also, siege engineering now coming through. +1 ranged attack on the way for Demu. On the side of Corvinus, he's already picked up the +1 ranged attack and the +1 ranged armor. So that means his units are going to be extra good in combat compared to Demu here, who's yet to be upgraded at all. This is problematic. He's going to try his best to defend. Going to throw down a barracks as well. Maybe move into a bit more of a traditional combo. Some classic spearman, yeoman combo for the House of Lancaster. But so far, A lot of stone starting to stack up here. So how many manas did he end up making? He's got 6 manas that have completed. He has actually gone into the next level as well. So the open field system, he has picked that up from his mana, so he can flex into the next level. Now, what's interesting is he's also taken quite a bit off this mine, so he could technically throw down another 3. I'd love to see him save a little bit of that just for the for another town center, though. I really like this idea of sort of getting out a whole bunch of manas, waiting for the enemy to drop a second TC, then you drop a second TC. But so far, we're playing in the dark. There's the next mana that's coming down. Then we're now going to push out once again, spots the battering ram, sees the army and says, oh, that's actually quite a bit of an army here. We could be in trouble. Now, keep in mind, synchronized shot not going to be coming through just yet. He's waiting for Castle Age before that one can come through, but I don't know if you can necessarily go for Castle Age here. I think the best thing that you can do is exactly what he's doing right now. Make units. Just make a lot of units, because the only way that you really die in this game right now is if you lose manas or if you lose vills. Either, as long as you're able to keep your head above water in those 2 regards, you're going to be fine. We can see now the vills are going to be migrated. He's going to be moving them down towards the south side here. He's also got more vills over on this wood line to the back. But now that first mana is going to be going down here. He's got to be cautious about overcommitting. Corvinus 1 able to protect the battering rams for the moment. Yeoman now going to face their fears at the front as the first of the manas falls. And I guess, you know, we talked earlier about positioning on the manas. That's part of the reason why you got to be so careful about where you put them down, because now all of a sudden we can see that these ones towards the front are a little bit more vulnerable. But Sipahi numbers looking very good. Damage from the Yeoman still quite solid. They've got 4 ranged armor at the moment, but of course a little bit of extra damage coming through from those Yeoman. And now we enter into the cinematic mode as Demu tries to defend a little bit longer, half health on the Lancaster Castle. And on the other side, around the back, one of the Sipahi going to give itself up. Nice little shots coming through so far. Battering ram still being worked down on the other side. Vills repairing up this landmark, so over time, he should eventually be able to take this out. 3 rams still standing strong for the moment. Last one about to fall, or rather the first one about to fall. You can see even there, the Imams together with the meta, able to mitigate so much damage. And now those vills going to be forced back away from it. You can see Corvinus 1 really looking to commit in this fight, but now it does end up falling. And with that, Demu is in trouble early on in this game. Spearmen move forward, get immediately eviscerated. Yeoman, what are you doing, yo? Man, come on. But now, the Sipahi looking to try and clean up a couple more on the backside down towards the south. The Demi-Lancers come through reinforcements. Through the manas, he's trying his best to kite his way back. He's got that high movement speed, that high range on all of these units, and this is where he excels, or at least where this unit excels. And he's able to find a nice little pocket back here. It looks like he will lose the meta in the end, but the Sipahi are going to be problematic. Spears are doing a good job of just cleaning these little positions out. You can see the archers at the same time from Corvinus 1 also doing a really good job. But meanwhile, behind this, have a look at this. 1 mana down, 2 manas down. The landmark is down. And the more manas you lose, the worse this gets. Because keep in mind, that's the economic damage that you're doing here. Obviously, the manas pay themselves off pretty quickly. But to have to rebuild these, it's difficult. 3 of these battering rams continue to remain alive. One of them with very low health. I don't know why he hasn't moved this one down to the south side or something. But for the moment, the defense looks like it's probably going to be good here for Corvinus 1. Vill's going to be brought out. Sorry, for Demu. Apologies. I just got a text message, so I'm just getting distracted a little bit by it. But look at this. Immediately after doing all this eco damage, what's the response from Corvinus 1? Looking for all of these upgrades straight away. All eco upgrades. And now, where does Corvinus 1 go from here? He could look to Castle. I think Castle would be quite reasonable. This is a whole bunch of units that are just going to die to Lancers. Even men-at-arms at this point could probably deal with these quite effectively. We'll take a look and take a look and see where he's gone into the Imperial Council. Let's check in with how our Ottoman player has been doing, because it's something that we haven't really looked too much into this game, is our Ottoman player and exactly what he is up to. But for the most part, it looks like some pretty standard base defense at the moment that is going to be coming out. Nothing too crazy. Sipahi looking just to try and force these away. There are a couple of spearmen as well in here. Nice little brace. Demu able to brace through the archer pack. More reinforcements going to be coming in, and you can see just how much damage he's able to do against these units when they don't have that bonus from the meta. The meta provides so much effective health to these units when they're dealing with the Yeoman. It reduces their damage down from 3 to 2, which is quite a bit of a reduction. All right, next point about to be spent. Where does he go here? He's got a number of options he could go into. I think realistically, he'd probably go into Advanced Academy. Makes the most sense at this stage. I can't imagine he'd go anything else. Let's take a look and see. No, oh, never mind. Okay, he's just gone into Anatolian Hills. Okay, that makes perfect sense. So he's picked up some extra sheep now. He's got those 10 total sheep. Vils have moved off the gold, so looking to re-macro here. 15 minutes into the game. We'll switch it over to income per minute. And now, let's check in with Demo and see how he's doing as he looks to try and rebuild the economy that he's lost. Now, keep in mind, he managed to keep the villager count relatively decent. You can see that he's only lost 10 vills this game, and I say only lost 10 villagers. He's only lost 10 villagers this game. It's a lot of vills. It's a lot of vills. In fact, there's quite a lot of eco damage that was done here. My main focus was these 3 manners, but during those fights, I'm trying to think, when did he actually lose the villagers? I don't remember seeing them. I remember seeing the vills come out to kill the battering ram, but I don't remember seeing the villagers go down. At least not... Oh, was it... Oh, you know what? It was probably the villagers that were under here repairing up the Lancaster. And I think that's one of the bad things about the cinematic mode. So maybe we should be a bit more cautious of using it. Just in this game as an example, we didn't really know what was happening with that villager count the more it was happening. But I guess we got to be more aware of the villagers, though, in that situation. But anyway, Yeoman on the kiting once again. Spearman going to be moving forward, Demu keeping them close and able to bring back these villagers. You can see they are the focus of the enemy archers. Still 10 taken out for the moment. But I think Demu now needs to try and work one over his opponent. Needs to try and get into the economy somehow. I guess technically he's still got quite a bit of an economy down here to the south side. And he is still working that up. But Meta going to get sniped out. And now the Yeoman should be fine to just defend here. He's going to be able to kite against these units. And remember that without the meta, he should be okay. You can see now the Sipahi going to utilize their fortitude bonus. But the meta, that's going to be the key in these units and their survival. So he's just able to 2-shot them down for the moment. And in the end, he should be able to force these back. Another 4 villagers taken out. Corvinus 1 doing a lot of economic damage early on in this game. 17 minutes, if you can call that early, as the MIA now going to be coming up over the other side of the map. Expect to see a blacksmith thrown down here very, very shortly. The positioning here is solid. We've also got another blacksmith coming up towards the top side here. So a little bit curious on that positioning. But I guess it is necessary here. Meanwhile, those archers making a full-blown retreat now. The MIA. I wonder if the MIA, if you could really justify it as much as you used to be able to. Obviously, in the days that the Mango was good, 100%. Like, the MIA was the king. But now it's like, is it really that good? I feel like you could justify not going for the MIA. Anyway, Demo now on the offensive. Age Up comes through for Corvinus. We're right on board with Demo, as he's going to probably be looking to match here. We'll check in with the gold. Yeah, you can see he's immediately moved 16 vills over to gold. I mean, he probably had these guys over well and truly before and recognized that, hey, an age up was imminent. Now, speaking of age up, we can see a whole bunch of upgrades coming through. Veteran Sipahi, Veteran Archers, your key upgrades once you hit the Castle Agent. Where is all the gold gathering going on right now for Corvinus 1? If we check in with him, he doesn't have any villagers on gold. Actually, I take that back. He's just moved over a whole bunch down to the south side. So 16 have just come across. So expect the next upgrade that he's going to be looking for here, +2 ranged armor. He could also go +2 ranged attack, but I think typically you'd probably want to take the ranged armor, just because you know that your enemy's going to be making a whole bunch of yeomen. So checking in, though, with Demo and seeing how he's doing. So how are the mana numbers doing? If we check, yeah, he's got 9 mana, so all of the manas are up and running at this stage. The biggest issue that he's got is that he lost this huge amount of villagers here. But now moving forward with the Sipahi, veterancy about to come online, and with that veterancy means he's got a little bit of extra armor, and that's going to help him out a huge amount in these fights. You can see just how little damage he's now taking on these Sipahi. It's going to be like a 5-shot to take these out. Demu forced to evacuate out of the front. He's picked up enough gold for the age up. Vils jump inside the town center. Every single one manages to get in, except for this last little guy who's got veteran archers hot on his tail. And now Yeoman looking to try and bring it back towards the other side of the town center, and of course Corvinus 1 not going to be taking the bait right there. Does he consider maybe a battering ram or 2 just outside enemy positions? We'll have to wait and see. Mangonel on the way through, going to be looking to roll off the blocks shortly in the next 20 or so seconds, 40 or so seconds maybe. Yeoman firing off. Age Up about to come through for Demo here. Does he go for King's College? I think you're probably going to be going for King's College in this situation. I mean, if there's ever a time to go for White Tower, it's right now, but where do you put it? How do you use it? I feel like White Tower requires too many things that it's just like, yes, like you need too many checkboxes with the White Tower. He's cancelled the King's College. He's going to go for the White Tower. He knows that he might be in trouble. So cancelling the King's College and saying, I have to commit to this White Tower. That's how I see my future in this game lasting longer than 20 minutes, lasting longer than 22 minutes. And there's a lot of vills that are now going to be building this up. Corvinus 1 doesn't quite yet spot it out. We'll now see the age up. Could look to reroute everybody. And there we go. Now moving across towards that position. Vills are out here. And immediately the archers make their way across. Look at Corvinus 1. He's like a... Oh my god. He's so hard. He just wants those villagers. And now he's melting through them. That's 20 villagers in total just taken out this game. Fortunately, it looks like he will be able to pop them inside, but not before about 12 villagers went down right there. And Demu not having a good game here. So how does Demu rebuild from here? Like, realistically, okay, if you're thinking from Demu's perspective, how do I get back into this game? I've lost a huge amount of vills. I often think back to, like, a game of StarCraft 2 I played right as, like, the beta for StarCraft 2 dropped. And I was like, okay, you need to throw a Hail Mary. And I remember I just like, I put down like 5 hatcheries and I'm just like, all right, I'm just going to hope my enemy doesn't attack me and I'm going to be able to out-eco them. And I feel like that's what you have to do right now as Demu. Like, it's hard as well because Corvinus 1's obviously a very good player. He's been very aggressive this game, but you've just put down the White Tower. In my mind, there is no better time than right now to just throw down like 2 additional town centers and just hope some way that you're going to be able to deal with whatever it is that he throws at you. Let's have a look and see, though, because Corvinus 1 could just even try and double down more. We don't see any real change in his game plan at this stage. He's continuing to manufacture, produce quite a bit of units here. Now, Demu still yet to find that synchronized shot through just yet. +2 range attack on the way in. Mango to the south. So, I think here your biggest threat as Demu is going to be trebuchets. I think trebuchets are realistically the only way that you die here, but you just bring vills and just repair the White Tower. And then at the same time, you raid with lancers. Is that the best way to do it? Maybe that's the way, or not lancers rather, but with knights. You could also look to try and wall at the same time. That could be a thing. That's a cool trick. But have a look at this. Over towards the other side of the map, and you can see Demu getting chased out towards that north side of the map. Followed up with quite a few archers. Mango in tow as well. Synchronized shot is on the way through. Yeoman obviously want to try and pick this one up as quickly as they can. I'm curious to see whether or not we get the bait from him as well. Of course, this has been a pretty cool technique we've seen picked up over the last couple of days. So hopefully, Demu manages to really put them together. Synchronized shot about to come through. 15 seconds. Demu lost a couple more villagers behind the scenes, about 4 or so villagers. Synchronized shot now about to come through. 8 seconds. He's looking for it. Oh no. Really bad timing. Really bad timing. Not enough yeomen here to actually kite. And now on the return, he's also run into the Sipahi. He could try and do the synchronized shot onto the back line. The trouble is the Sipahi are just going to eat him alive. And when you're doing that, the archers are going to be moving up. So he's doing the right thing and just kiting. But you can't help but feel like maybe he overstepped the mark a little bit here. I think going into knights and then dropping the second TC at the very least makes the most sense, because I don't feel like you can just play straight up anymore. You've just lost too much. But, you know, I guess that's another issue that I've got is you don't really know. Oh, nice little fire. Nice job, actually. Decent damage that comes through. Doesn't kill a whole lot. It gets about 2.5, we'll call it. But I think that's one of the big issues that I've got whenever you're playing 1v1 is you don't realize how behind you are, because there's no real way to track how many villagers you've had of your own that have died. At least not that I'm aware of. Maybe it's been added in the last patch and I just didn't see. But from what I'm aware, there's no way to track how many vills you've lost. And it would be really cool to be able to like hover over something and see like, oh shit, I've lost 13 villagers. Okay, I got to do something crazy, otherwise I'm in trouble. You know, I got to try and hit a good raid on the enemy. By the same token, it would be really cool if you could see how many vills the enemy had lost. Though maybe that's giving you information that you shouldn't have. It's kind of like, I remember when I started playing League of Legends and I could see the enemy's items, and I was like, what? Why can't I see your items, dude? It feels a bit weird. Like, normally you'd have to hold, like... I came from a Dota background, so it was always... You know, that was always a bit of a strange thing for me. But we hear all the Yeoman coming out. Okay. All right. Looking for a Hail Mary. Might actually find one here in the form of a Yeoman. 17 Yeoman out on the field now from that. That's going to give him a very solid boost. Now, the only thing I would say from Demu's perspective is you've seen a lot of cavalry out this game. You can't just be going into this with 100% Yeoman, and that's exactly what he's doing. So transitioning into spears, and I would argue almost only spears from here on in, makes the most sense to me. So I would be dropping down an extra barracks or 2 and just spamming out spears and holding off on this attack. But I guess it's one of those things that the power spike occurs the closest to when you call those extra Yeoman and then begins to fade every second that goes on past. But it's one of those things, it's like, do you really want to take a fight that you're going to lose? Probably not. Keep now going to be coming up as well. Sabahi raid towards the south. Still hardened spearman. No veterancy upgrade just yet. Vils is going to try and chase off the gold vein. Manages to find quite a few down here. Actually picked off 8 so far. That's another 10. So definitely one of the ways back into the game. You don't have to raid the enemy with knights or with lancers. You can hit them with yeomen as well. Unfortunately, no synchronized shot on them. That would have been good fun. Gosh, can you imagine synchronized shot on that many vills? Meanwhile, behind the scenes, more villagers going down. You can see the difference between the two. Still 22 villagers at this stage. And of course, not including the 3 military schools, or the 3 military schools, 4, that are just pumping here. Also the MIA that's going to be contributing even more to that. But by the same token, Demu's obviously got a whole bunch of passive generated resources here. We could compare the pair and just see how they're doing. I got a comment from somebody who said, whenever you say compare the pair, it reminds me of that Australian superannuation ad. And I responded to him just by saying, that's exactly why I say it. We had, it's like our 401k in Australia. There was an advertisement and they used to say, compare the pair. Anyway, Yeoman firing off. He has gone a little bit short of where the archers were standing and managed to miss the majority, but at the same time, well done to Corvinus 1 for spreading out so well. Still the numbers looking relatively even here. Quite a bit of siege is going to be happening on the side of the Ottomans. And now those numbers starting to fall slightly for Demu. We also now begin to see the first of the bombards on the field. Looks like he's called that one in from the home city. And now continuing to kite away with the Yeoman. No melee armor on these guys, but I don't know how much melee armor is really going to help against these kind of Sapahi right now. You're talking about 32 damage for each one of these pops. And now, a handful left. He's managed to do a decent job kiting away. Really well done on the attack moves here. And now it just leaves a handful of archers to be dealt with and shouldn't have any trouble. And this is one of the things that I absolutely love about the Yeoman is just they are fast and they've got a long range. 1.31 movement speed compared to the base 1.25 of an archer. And they've also got the 6 range compared to the 5 range of an archer. So it's those 2 factors. But White Tower still under repair. And you know, it's funny, I mentioned earlier about how the only real threat here are the trebuchets. And then the Great Bombard comes out. It's like, actually, no, I'm a huge threat as well. And you know what, Great Bombard? You are a huge threat as well. And I'm sorry for not mentioning that earlier. Meanwhile, Corvinus 1, unaware of the Yeoman. They've actually got some decent little trading positions up this mountain right now. We've got more walls coming in as well. Have a look at this, up towards the north of the map. More Sapahis rallied in, and Demu really trying to do his best to sort of whittle down the enemy army just slowly over time. But more Sapahi continue to rally through, and that's going to mean that the Yeoman continue to take more hits. And with this, I mean, Corvinus 1 just leaves it and lets it go. Demu's got to be watching and acting and reacting this whole time. He's going to be kiting, but in the end, he loses his mass and he loses his advantage. So with this, he's in a really dire position here. Great Bombard now coming out as well. Still just looking to work down these landmarks. We've got one that's completely destroyed. Second one about to be destroyed. And I think at this point, I mean, where does Demu go from here? I don't know how he gets back into this game. I feel like going into that second town center was the only real thing that you had as an option. But even then, I don't know how much it would have actually done for you. Right? Because then your enemy just sort of does exactly what he's doing now, but probably just does it with a little bit more vigor. Working down the rest of the base here. Demu now going to look to try and find an angle. He's got quite a few Earls Guards out, 11 of them so far. But Demu's in a bit of a tough spot in the sense that he might just lose his landmark straight up. A lot of Trebs out now. Firing from the heavens. Demu going to bring all the villagers forward as well. Trebuchets firing off. Bombard just doing a little bit of a random scrabble. You can see the crossbows out here trying to work it down. Not a whole lot of armored units. Sapahi numbers overwhelming for the moment. It's Sapahi Archer that's just been really good for him the entirety of this game. Springwood's now out as well. Earl's Guard's in there, but at the end of the day, the siege still stands strong, and now Corvinus 1 looks to chase down the remnants of this Demu army. Fires off a single... the single synchronized shot, not too synchronized right there. If there's only one of them, what do you call that? Unsynchronized shot, not very synchronized shot. Definitely not Olympic level synchronized shot. And there we go. That's a bit more synchronized. But at the end of the day, it does so little damage against these Sapahi with their 6 ranged armor. Keep in mind, they've also got the meta here, which is increasing their ranged armor as well. And unfortunately, in the back of the base, I think that's probably going to be where Demu calls it, because I don't see how you're getting out of this mess. At the end of the day, you've lost your key defensive landmark. You're losing your manners, and exactly, you have lost the game. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to leave it there. I hope you've enjoyed this game, and a pretty impressive game here from our Ottoman player, Corvinus1. So make sure you go check him out. I'll leave a link in the description to where you can check out him as well as Demu. So go say good day from me, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thank you for watching.